Hi, Dan. We're back with we're back with the Looking Back
All right.
podcast.
Yes.
Keep
Hello.
going, Dan. Tell me the next part of your life.
So this brings us to the early 90s, and I had some friends and associates that thought, well, my friends and associates, they were potheads, and I wasn't much of one. My brain doesn't work well with that drug, and but I'm a good gardener, and so we decided to do something outdoors with on a few acres in rural New Mexico, and we were amazingly successful with that, and I had no idea. So did that, had one of the best years of my life in 1991, uh, and then doing that gave me lots of time out in the woods, and I enjoyed that. Uh, I enjoyed far less coming back into town and having to deal with everybody. Uh, Anyways, things moved on, and I was doing that kind of thing. And in 1994, I had some very nice folks introduce me to crystal methamphetamine, and that's a much harder drug than marijuana, and I liked it a lot. And I only used it heavily for one summer, but during that time, it really helped me through some psychological blocks that I had, and uh, uh, and I would say that the short-term consequences were very good. The medium-term consequences of things it led to were very bad, which I'll get into in a little bit. And overall, it had it has been uh, an overall positive in my life. So I'm the kind of person that if you say drugs are bad, right? I'd say, well, maybe, but not necessarily. Not for me, but I would never do it again. I'll get into that as well. Anyways, uh, I started going to the community college in Albuquerque, and I was taking some classes. And at some point in time, I ran into a person I should have never run into. And She wasn't the best person in the world. She had 17 felonies, but they were all nonviolent, so she was only, half as bad as the president. Anyways, uh, she introduced me to crack cocaine, and
Ooh,
that's a drug that is very, very not good. That's a drug that will get you very high. And as soon as you do, your IQ drops 20 points. That's why people make fun of crackheads. And you can be taken advantage of. And you'll probably start to exhibit lots of autistic symptoms when you're high. And your brain, the serotonin levels in your brain go crazy. And I mean, for me, I had trouble talking, all kinds of things. And of course, it's very, very addictive and very, very painful. And I lost just about everything I had except for my house in the hills, and over the next couple of years. And I got very loud auditory hallucinations in my head, voices in my head, and they were there all the time and they didn't go away. And so
they were there while you were still smoking crack, or they were there even after you weren't smoking anymore?
even after I wasn't smoking anymore, I had them very
Okay.
loud for many, many years. Um, uh, they started fading after about 5 years after I uh, uh, stopped smoking crack. Um, to say that they went away, well, no. There's medications you could. Wellbutrin is great because it blocks. You have that squeaking in your ears, and it blocks out some of those voices. But if you ask me, well, did they go away? No, of course we're still here. Um, And and one thing I found when I was getting high on crack cocaine is that if I didn't have, I am very nearsighted, and so right now I don't have my glasses on, so I can see close, but if I look a block away, it's just a blob. And I found out that when I would get high, if I did not have my glasses on, the voices in my head were a whole lot less angry, mean, and audible. And then I put my glasses on and everything was clear and everything would get very mean and violent and everything else. And I started trying to figure out why that was. And for me, I think it was because uh, uh, people that have auditory hallucinations that are schizophrenic in schizophrenic tendencies, those auditory hallucinations are commenting on things that the person is seeing in their peripheral view of vision, but they're not concentrating on. In other words, right now I'm looking at the picture of you, but I'm not looking at the picture of the camera like I am now. So right now I'm focused on the camera. Right now I'm focused on you. During the time I'm focused on you, I could get a voice in my head that's commenting on the camera because uh, I'm not focused on the camera, but all that stuff is still going, that is still being input into my brain. Anyways, with this information, I decided, well, if I could somehow figure out how to get these very angry and derogatory voices in my head to join sides with me, I could get off this drug. When Eminem's saying that he gets along with the voices in his head, people think that's symbolic. Oh no, it's not symbolic at all. So that's what I started working on, and I found that if I change my environment and I get myself alone, and this was the late '90s, so I had a Walkman, I put that on, and I get very high on crack cocaine, and I would then make sure to put the pipe somewhere where you can't see it, even the corner of your eye, and then I put on good music or meditations or things like that, and I would sit and listen to what the voices in my head said, and very quickly they would start saying, "What the heck are you doing with your life?" And very quickly they would stop being so negative. And I started training them. Uh, and about 3 months later, I was at the point where we all just quit crack cocaine. So the way to get off of crack cocaine is to smoke a bunch of it. Put yourself in an environment where nobody else is, and then make sure that all the things that the sides of your eyes can see is positive, and what positive means is depends on who you are, and that's how you get off of drugs if you don't want to be on them. So anyways, that's what I did, and then the voices were still very loud in my head, so 6 months later I used them to quit smoking cigarettes, and and then I wanted to know what was going on in my head, so I went to the University of New Mexico and enrolled in psychology and was there for several years. Now, one issue that I've always had is some ADHD. I'm I'm a smart guy. I'm very intelligent, but I have a certain amount of ADHD. It's very easy for me to start things. It's very hard for me to finish things. And there are things you can take that make that better, but it is a thing that I have. And I never finished college. Um, and I blame it on my dad had a stroke and my mom was bedridden, and so I had to go take care of my mom. Uh, but it's not true. I was going to drop out of college anyways during my senior year. So when I came back to Albuquerque after having taken care of my mom, uh, I had to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And I had been delivering pizza the whole time I was going to college. So I knew the town. So I was like, why don't I try and be a cab driver? I wonder what that's like. And I tried that, and it's an amazing drug being a cab driver. Um, it's nothing like it used to be because, rideshare has really fragmented the industry. But being a good cab driver is one of the best jobs you could possibly have. It's an amazing job. So that's what I did, and I was successful at it. And after having worked for the company I was working with for several years, I started a website uh, uh, so that I would be getting calls myself and I didn't have to just take the calls that the company had. And that was amazingly successful. And so within 5 years, I had started my own cab company. Now, during all this time, I had also met uh, the most amazing lady who turned into my wife. She was a fare in my cab one Saturday morning, and uh, so uh, I own a small cab company. Me and my wife both work at it, which is a great way to have life. Um, I could make a whole lot more money if I was working for a corporation, uh, but I've always had a problem with authority, and I always will. And so, why should I do that? So this is what I do, and I enjoy it, and it's middle class, and I'm one of the luckiest guys on the planet. And what else do you want to know?
Is it is it the work now, Dan? The fact that you are a small business owner and you have different aspects of the business, a couple employees, a few different cabs. Is it all of the demands of being a small business owner that are keeping you grounded at this point in your life? Is it finally, is is this something that's intellectually stimulating enough
No,
that it keeps your
no,
brain busy?
no, not at all. No,
No.
if I won Powerball this weekend, I would not own this cab company in 2 weeks. Um, uh, uh, this is something to do with my life, but work isn't all of life. If you ask the things that keep me grounded, my wife keeps me grounded, my dogs keep me grounded, my garden keeps me grounded, my music keeps me grounded. Music is one of the most amazing things that you could, it's another mind altering drug that's very cheap and you should use it.
And
And
much
I do.
safer. And much safer.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so those are the things that keep me grounded. And driving a cab is fun. And you should always work at something that's fun because that way you're not working. And I don't know. What else do you want to know?
I think that's great, Dan. I'm really proud of you. I'm proud of you that you pulled yourself out the other side and that you can tell this story. And as someone who has observed schizophrenic personalities more than once in my life, your view of it doesn't at all surprise me. I'm sure a lot of people won't understand, but I think I get it. I
Mhm.
really do. On that note, let's pause. Let's pause and we'll come back to this.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Thanks, Dan.
Uh-huh. Thank you.